Hello and welcome back to the Quantum Leap Podcast. I'm Albie here with Matt and Christopher, and today we are so lucky to have on our show the woman who played Shruti on the episode of Quantum Leap Let Them Play, Anita Kalathara. Hi, Anita. How you doing?
Hi.
We've just watched this episode and we all absolutely love it. So we're very excited to talk to you today. And we do want to talk about the episode. But first, I want to ask you about like how you got into the business and how you got the acting bug and your journey that brought you to Quantum Leap.
Fun question. So definitely my parents wanted me to be like a doctor or a lawyer, so that it's kind of the typical standard Indian thing. But I very gracefully disappointed them. And I bought a one-way ticket to LA. I really had wanted to be an actor since I was like in elementary school, but I just didn't know how to proceed and figure it out. And so like the minute I got out of school, I basically was just like, okay, this is my chance. And I ended up just booking a one-way ticket to LA and was like, I'll just figure it out when I get there. And I did a lot of research. I was really thorough, and I got here and I kind of just like had a game plan and got very great timing because I landed an agent pretty quickly. And then like it's really started from there, and it's been going ever since. So yeah, it's been a really cool journey.
We just watched your short film, Unfair and Lovely. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, thank you. Oh, cool. Yeah, so I wrote and directed that short film, and it's a lot about what I experienced growing up. It's about colorism in India, which also translates to America as well, because yeah, being a first generation kid, my parents came over with the same, ideas that they had been like that they had known their whole lives, which is, light skin, fairer skin is better. And in India, it's like really prevalent, especially when they were younger, to have like lightening products, to have bleaching products. And so when I was a kid, my parents, they probably didn't realize how bad it was at that time, because at that time they really just thought this was culturally normal. So they would have me, using skin lightening products and bleaching products on my skin just because they were like, oh no, my daughter, she's so dark. What happened? Because I would go out and play in the sun and stuff like that. So this short is about a girl who's on her wedding day. Her mother's giving her a lot of pressure about uh, being darker and not looking good in her pictures and things like that. And so she kind of goes through, it's really nonverbal. There's not a lot of dialogue in this film, but I think it just conveys the message really clearly, like just going through that and the feelings of like not feeling good enough because of your skin color. And it's interesting because I feel like it's still like it's taken me a really long time to get over this kind of feeling and hatred against myself and my skin color. And it's only been in recent years that I really like learned to embrace it, because I didn't realize how deep seated that feeling was from when I was a baby. Like I just, I remember when growing up, my parents would always say, you were born so fair and now you're so dark. How did this happen? And, it was always like a joke. And my aunts and uncles would always say it to me, like, oh, you got so dark and stuff like that. But I didn't realize how like actually that affected me until I was older and realized like, oh, wow, this isn't like the right way to look at yourself. Like you should learn to love yourself as you are. And there shouldn't be any, differences between skin color. But it's just interesting that that's how it is in India. It's changing, I think, but
Oh, good.
still going. And a lot of people reached out to me after that short. So that was really cool to realize that like it wasn't just me. There was a lot of people dealing with this stuff.
When I watched it, I was very ignorant of that topic, and I had no idea that was a thing. And one of the things that touched me about the part in the short film was when the little girl goes to pick out a doll, and you're looking for a doll that looks like yourself, and that was heartbreaking, and just seeing that. But on a good thing is I saw on your Instagram that they actually are making South Asian American Girl dolls now.
Yes. Oh, weird. What timing? I didn't even really put that connection together. Yes. Yeah. This year, American Girl came out with their first Girl of the Year, and it's a South Asian girl, and her name is Kavi Sharma. and I happen to be the voice of Kavi Sharma, which is cool and coincidental, which is why you saw it on my feed. There's an animated series coming out that I'm going to be voicing and doing all the I'm the voice of Kavi, and it's really fun, and I'm so excited for little girls to get. I've already gotten messages in the last few weeks of like friends with like nieces and baby cousins that are playing with the Covey doll, and I just love that they're sending these pictures to me. It just makes me feel so good that like these girls have something to look at and look up to, and yeah, I think people are going to really love her story when they learn more about it.
That's amazing. Very, very groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And then you're in this other thing that's very groundbreaking, which is this episode of Quantum Leap that is, I think, very much a first for network television to embrace a story like this told from the perspective of the people that it affects. Can you tell me a little bit about how you found out about this role and got the role and joined the cast of this episode of Quantum Leap?
Yeah, so I, just auditioned and was lucky to book this off tape. And it was cool because I was actually traveling at the time. I was in New York, and I remember getting it and being like, "Oh my, how am I gonna tape this?" Like, luckily, my younger cousin, he is an actor and he had a setup. So I ran over to his house or his apartment in the city, and we taped it, and it was just such a fun audition. I just remember having so much fun with this audition in general. And also I think I lived like a little dream of like always wanting to be good at basketball, but not actually. So I like really took that to heart and kind of took my environment in when I did that. So I feel like it was just a really fun audition overall. And, I didn't know how lucky I was going to be part of such a cool episode at the time. I didn't know enough about it. So like, but I from the scenes I could gather, like, oh, this is going to be a cool thing. And yeah, and then I think we started filming like a week after booking. Like it was pretty quick. It was quick turnaround time, and yeah, it just pretty fast, I guess.
Can you talk a little bit about those first moments on set, or when you were meeting the rest of the cast and coming together and experiencing the script for the first time?
Yeah, I think like when we were all in this, it's like we all mutually understood this was going to be a very special episode, and the feeling on set was like that. I mean, when I met the other girls, it was like we were friends for a long time already. Like soon as we met, it was such a fast friendship. I mean, there were so many moments on set where they were like, "Girls, calm down. You need to focus. We're about to go for a take," because we would just be like having so much fun that we forgot that we were working a lot of the time. And the camaraderie between us, I mean, we all still hang out and we all are on a group text and we all talk all the time. And I think that was really awesome. We really felt like part of a team. And we also had the amazing support of all these very, really great basketball players, female basketball players who are so good at their jobs. And they all like were supporting us and helping us learn and get better. I perfected my shot by the end of this, taping. And it was crazy. Like we had rehearsals for basketball. I learned so much from the set and just being there. And yeah, it was a great feeling.
I have to think that that's a technically difficult kind of shoot because you have to get specific shots. I mean, was the blocking and stuff like that crazy? You're learning just how to play basketball, but you also have to hit your mark and take a shot and just stop the ball here. And I mean, that seems to me like it's organized chaos.
Make sure the basketball
so
hits it.
It was really interesting, actually. So I met a lot of the girls. I met a lot of the girls actually at our first basketball rehearsal. So we ended up having like actual basketball rehearsals. And I remember feeling super intimidated because I went in and I see all these very athletic women that are like making all these shots and looking like super professional. And I was like, oh God, I hope I'm not the only one that doesn't really know how to play basketball. And thankfully, none of the girls did. And we all just were in it together. But it was so crazy. We actually learned that we had an amazing basketball coach. She ran and we basically learned plays and that were going to set us up to like to like help us do the best of our abilities. So like what our strong points were. And so we basically the coach made plays. We learned like 6 or 8 plays or something like that. So like a regular team would, we literally had to memorize these plays and do them. And so we would run drills and run rehearsals on that and like figure out our spots and like locations. And yes, you had to know your mark. But it's interesting because I think that's what you would actually do in a game, is you would know exactly where you were going because you run these plays as a team and you know these plays like the back of your hand. So I felt like I was really in the game. Like it felt like I was a real like basketball player because I knew all the plays like the back of my hand. I like ran the drills, like when we were running we don't always make the shot because you never know if that's gonna work. But yeah, it was kind of organized chaos, but it was really like well planned, and that was on the amazing talent of our basketball coach and the players, because they were all so good and like were really helpful in helping us learn all the plays. So yeah.
So we have been talking to Josie Lynn, and we've been talking to Shakina regarding a lot of the messaging of the trans experience in this episode. And we still really haven't spoken to anyone that played a contemporary of Mia in the episode. So when you were preparing for those scenes and trying to contextualize the dialogue that you were given, did you have conversations with Shakina and Josie Lynn about their experiences and just to help you ground your performance? How did all of that dynamic come together?
Yeah, I didn't actually per se. I think Shakina was actually really good at keeping us informed and giving us like all the information we needed to know what was happening in each scenario and each scene. And so Shakina was like our biggest and greatest resource because she really helped us like really understand what was happening and what was at stake in each scene as we were going to do it. And she also just is so well spoken and just like really understands how to, get performances out of people. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think like that was kind of more how it was. I didn't really I didn't want to like disturb Josie Lynn's piece and like, ask her what she's going through in a specific scenario, but it was like I could just feel her energy and it worked off of that. Like we were just we were very in it. Like we just had the circumstances like, and the thing is like, she also shared with me a few times of like how some of the moments that she went through were so real for her in her life. And there was a lot of similarities between Gia and herself. And so like seeing that on her face, and she was so happy and her and Shakina both said this to me on set, that it feels like this episode was like a chance for them to like rewrite their own histories. They felt that when they were younger, like if they could have like the kind of confidence that Gia would had, it would have, been a better experience for them. And like, I think that made it so powerful for me, just seeing like them going through this journey like as someone who's like an ally and supports like this like whole message. I felt like really strongly affected by them and like their emotions. So it wasn't even as much of a discussion as like it just was, it just felt so real. I don't know how else to describe it, I guess.
Yeah, it just seemed the energy in the air. And Josie Lynn said that when you guys got together, it was like you had been friends for years, kind of like the script called for. It's like just the energy was
crazy.
You guys all immediately clicked. Yeah,
we clicked so well, and it was crazy. Like people have said to me, or like I like was just hanging out with Josie Lynn on Friday, and she was like, somebody came up to us and they like could not believe that we had not known each other for more than like 3 months. They were like, you seem like you've been friends for years. I was like, yeah, well, just got lucky, I guess, that we just all like connected so quickly and so easily.
Hopefully you all made friends for life. Was it different? How did you approach it? Was there any difference being an ally and a best friend as a character, or did you just approach it as being the best friend?
Oh yeah, Absolutely. Well, it was actually provided for me in the backstory that Shakina gave me, that I'm like 100% on board and an ally, like right from the beginning. Um, so, I kind of just definitely felt that from the beginning. But also too, just as someone who feels that way in my own life, I think that was just so easy to connect to. And I was just already feeling like really strongly. I was just so happy to be in something where I could like support a really positive message and be a part of something that's so meaningful to so many people. So yeah, I already felt that way from the beginning. That wasn't hard to connect to.
That's so cool. I also understand that you guys are going to have a special viewing of the episode at the high school where you actually
Yeah.
shot the episode. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, we just found that out. So yeah, we're going to the high school that we're shooting at, which was cool because we were shooting the show or while they were in session in classes, which I guess I have never had that happen before. I've been to sets in high schools, but I haven't had them like operating like fully functional classes. So it was really interesting. We'd be like in our uniforms, like playing games, and we'd walk out, and people would have like their bell would ring, and they'd be running to classes, and we'd be passing by tons of like high schoolers and stuff, and it was really fun. But yeah, so we're going back to that school, and we're doing a screening there, and apparently having a talk back with the students there. So I think that's going to be really cool because it's not you don't get to do that often, where you get to like get people excited about something in person and like hopefully spread a message to these high school kids of like, community that they may want too. So I think it's going to be a really cool experience. I don't know too much about it yet, but I'm excited. So
I wanted to know. I have a silly question about. I think we've learned a lot about the behind the scenes filming of this episode, but one thing we didn't really touch on was the exterior shots for the car wash scene. So could you tell us about the day you had washing a PT Cruiser?
oh yeah, that was very messy and very memorable. Um, that was a lot of fun because I remember we got the direction from Shakina to just really go in on this car wash scene and like get soap everywhere and like throw like water on everyone, and we were like full on. It felt like what a cafeteria food fight scene would be, but like we were full on like drenching each other at one point. So and it was kind of cold that day too. So I remember feeling like very wet and cold. And then also with the egg fight was it was very smelly. That part was really hilarious. We tried to do it. I know we tried to do it like a limited number of times so that we all didn't have to like reek of egg yolk, but like that was very fun, but also very like smelly, and was glad to go shower after that. But yeah, it was a really fun scene.
Was that shot out in the Universal lot, or was that somewhere on
Yeah.
location?
Yeah. That was the I think that was the only scene that we shot that I was in, because I know Jesse Lynn shot a lot that was in the Universal back lot, but that was the only scene that I remember that we shot on on the back lot, and that was really fun.
It's really cool. I just want to say personally how much I admire both you and Josie Lynn. You're telling us that you got a one-way bus ticket and you were determined to make it work. She told us that she just went to LA with 3 months rent, and now here you both are on a network TV show. I mean, it shows I guess the power of just the dedication and really being committed to doing something. Really, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was definitely like a shot in the dark, but I was like, I wanted it so bad that I was like, I'm gonna make it work. And yeah, I've been pretty lucky to have like a really fun job, and like it is my job, which is cool.
You saw it through.
Yeah.
You're right. The dream.
The dream, living the dream. That's right, living the dream. Talking to the
Yeah,
Quantum Leap podcast. You finally arrived, Anita. Congratulations!
Exactly, totally. That was what I meant by that. Totally.
It's all downhill from here. Sorry.
You were telling us about the next project you have lined up is the American Doll series. Any other
Yeah.
things that Leapers can look forward to?
Well, I am right now recording a video game, but I can't quite talk about what that is right now. So I have no idea when that's coming out, to be honest. And I will probably share it when I can. Um, but yes, I am working on a video game right now. And yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the
Keep
animated
them
series
busy.
is the
Keep them
next thing
working.
that you can like see out in the world pretty soon. I did do a really cool short with Paul Feig's company that I think is supposed to drop some point this year, and an indie film that's supposed to come out at some point later this year too. But again, I never know until somebody tells me, hey, it's out. This is also a past thing that I guess I can just say, but I did this movie, India Sweets and Spices, and it's actually out on Hulu right now. It came out like like last year, but it's great and everyone should watch it. That's my pitch.
There you go. Plug, right?
Yeah, it's my plug. Everybody go watch India Sweets and Spices. It's cute.
It looks good from the preview.
What network is the American Doll show going to be on?
American Girl Doll.
Honestly, not sure. I think it's actually going to be
sorry,
out on
American.
YouTube. I think it's going to
Okay.
be out on YouTube. I'm pretty certain.
So, I mean, this has been such a great talk. I mean, we've been talking to a lot of cast people over the weekend involved with this episode, and we keep learning new things. Are there any aspects of the production that we haven't touched upon that you'd like to tell us about before we wrap up?
Oh, also, just working with Ray and Caitlin was such a fun time. I don't know if anyone talked about that part, but Ray is an insane basketball player. I'm just gonna hype him up here because I didn't catch it on video because every time I tried to record it, I missed it. And we had to go like do a scene. But this man made every shot. Like as a basketball coach, he really owned it. He must play on a league or something. I think he did mention he plays on a league. But that man is really good at basketball. Just random people should probably know.
Okay.
Ray is great at basketball. I hyped you up. There you go, Ray. And then and Caitlin is also pretty good at basketball too. Like why they both shocked me. They were like really good. So that was a really random fun fact. And also just working with them is really fun because they're so cool. And the whole crew is just so warm and friendly. Like everyone from like wardrobe to makeup to, you know, sound, Panda on sound, like everybody is just so cool on this show and definitely feels like a family. And I was talking to Ray about it, and they have a brand new guest cast pretty much every episode, and they don't really get to interact with the other castmates because of their, you know, scenes and what they do. So it's interesting, like Ray and Caitlin are kind of just like on their own always with all the guest cast, and they make like a whole new TV family literally every week, which I thought was really cool. And they both had said that's like something that they really love about this show. And I was like, yeah, great. I love it too.
That's great. That's terrific. Yeah, we hear nothing but good things about them. And we usually ask, I think we've learned not to ask anymore, whether or not you got to interact with any of the other ensemble cast, because it seems like the shooting schedules are so different for both halves of the cast. Now you're telling me Ray barely gets to interact with them. So
Ray, he said that, and because you know we'd obviously be hanging out and talking and stuff, and yeah, he said that he barely sees the other cast, which I thought was crazy. Like you're doing a whole show together, but you really never see. It's really just like him and Caitlin. They're like the dynamic duo, and I was like, that's pretty wild. But yeah, he said it's really fun for him to meet like a whole new cast and crew, and he said it's always like a really good time. So it's pretty fun.
That's really cool. Well, thank you, Anita, for your insight and for your participation and the role you've played in making this episode of Quantum Leap. As someone who considers himself a Quantum Leap fan and somewhat of a Quantum Leap aficionado, I can tell you with absolute confidence that this is going to be one of the all-timers for Quantum Leap, talking about old series and new series. It is just really a quintessential episode of Quantum Leap. And we have you in part to thank for that. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank you. Ooh, goosebumps. Wow.
And Thank you so much for the time you spent with us here today on the Quantum Leap podcast.
Oh, thank you. All right. Well, bye.